All right, let's get our Facebook folks in here and we can start the show. Let's get the ball rolling here. Spinning wheels, 1 and 2. All right, welcome in. It is Monday morning, the 15th. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope your July is going well. I am Nick Kendell. I am writing solo today. Scott had something come up, so just me, and we're going to keep it a little short. I'm dealing with a cold. Just got back from some time in the San Juan Islands. I was doing my best to isolate, not get the little guy sick, or mother-in-law or my wife. And he starts daycare today, and I'm back at work. So not Rona, nothing like that, but just a cold, getting over it. And haven't seen you guys in a week. I went backpacking. I went out to the San Juan Islands. It was beautiful. And back to the grind here, at least for a week before one more big adventure this summer. But appreciate everyone coming in and saying hello. Hope everyone's doing well. We got our guy David Youngkin coming in here. Always really appreciate hearing from our guy DY saying morning. Good to see you, David. Hope you're doing well. If you have any updates for the chat or for us, let us know. But hope your July is going well. We got Jeremy Sean saying, morning, boys. It's finally about time for football. Also nice to have something somewhat meaningless to think about other than the ugliness in our world. There's a lot of good in the world too, Jeremy. There's a lot of good in the world too. But yeah, things are definitely escalating in many regards. And my advice is put the phone down. That's I'm trying to do that a little bit more and get outside and, be with the connections that matter, because things just get super polarized and amplified, and the wrong voices tend to get amplified in those spaces. So other than mine, of course, with football and draft takes, but just hang out, people that matter, and of course, Mile High Huddle, a little football distraction in the chaos that is out there right now, and craziness. Christopher Scott, happy Monday, y'all. Graveyard screwed up my sleeping schedule, but happy I can make the show. Great work you all do. Go Broncos and Falcons. Thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, I haven't done a Falcons show in a bit. I'm getting a little rusty. Scott and I just have been ships in the night. So hopefully we can get that for you guys Wednesday. But yeah, Wednesday and Monday should be back at it with Scott hanging out and having a good time. We got Dave Glassman coming in here with the hearts. We got Robbie Red saying good morning from Vashon Island. I know that, Robbie Red, out there in the southern part of the Puget Sound out there on the Salish Sea. Man, if you guys ever get a chance to come out to the Pacific Northwest, everybody, Olympics amazing or near as amazing, but if you want something a little slower, a little bit more low-key, getting a ferry, hopping out to one of the San Juan Islands, going on an whale tour, seeing the orcas, just cruising the bikes around there. It is a pretty special time. A good vacation for older folks or kids as well. Just such an absolutely beautiful area. I think it's probably one of the better kept secrets in the United States, just because it's so far away. But the San Juan Islands, I couldn't go. The mother-in-law and the wife went because I offered to stay back and watch the baby, because they watched the baby while I went on a 3-day, 2-night backpacking trip. But they went and they followed orcas around. They had a 4-hour whale watching tour and saw, I can't remember, pod T109A, I think it was. And they followed them, four orcas for about an hour, and watched them make a kill and just sail around the Salish Sea. It's pretty incredible. It's awesome to see those orcas up close. They are unbelievable animals and just a beautiful area. The islands are awesome. You can see the mountains in the distance. It's incredible. So again, this is a summer out in the Pacific Northwest is truly special, Robbie, and glad you're out here enjoying it as well out on Vashon Island. I have not yet been to Vashon Island, so it's got to check that one off at some point. Been to Bainbridge, been over to like Bremerton and a bunch of the other ones, but not Vashon yet. I know it's kind of an old, from what I know, stereotypically, it's kind of an old hippie community, like a lot of older Seattle moved out to Vashon. So I don't know. It's probably a beautiful, cool area. Michael Ronquillo says, good morning, Nick, on Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos. And we got Jeremy coming and says, when do the rookies report? Excellent question, Jeremy. Broncos rookies report. Let's see what's going on. They're set for their first rookie training camp. They should report on Wednesday. So that's great. Broncos rookie class Bo Nix as well report to training camp on Wednesday. So, man, football really is ramping up. You'll have new news on the 17th and rookies coming in. So, football's right around the corner, guys. I know if any of you have family or friends that are teachers, can kind of start teasing them around the 4th of July, being like, summer's almost over. Now, they do it a little differently out here in Seattle. I think summer doesn't start until like mid-June because of how the weather works. But yeah, no, it's football's coming, man. The fall is approaching fast. Good to see you, Jeremy. Excited for that Broncos football. Mark Schrader coming in says, good morning, Nick. And on that note, I need this. I'm back to work today. Mills starts daycare. It's been a whirlwind of a week, and I need some Lion coffee to help me out here. So 1 second while I do this solo. I apologize again for the nasal. I'm kind of at the end of a cold. I was out in the back country, did about 40 miles, 10,500 feet elevation gain. And that first night, I'm like, my throat's a little sore. Second day, I'm like, man, I don't feel good. It was 85 degrees in the sun, and I was hauling 50 pounds. So I was like, that's kind of normal. And then Wednesday, I was like, uh-oh, I have a cold for sure. Hopefully it's not Rona. No, not Rona. Took a couple tests and masked up and windows down and still did the low-key vacation with the family, slept on the couch. No fun, but yeah, doing my best. I didn't even get a coffee sip. I got distracted by my own little stories, man. What is life? Oh my God, it's hot. Oh, okay. That was a mistake. I'm gonna take the lid off here. Oh my goodness. Jeremy also says, have you watched any of the Giants Hard Knocks off-season show? Jeremy, I have not watched any shows. Been outside a lot. Have had family in town. I've been watching House of Dragon. We finished Shogun. That was awesome. And I've been watching 3 Body Problem. Oh, and the new season of The Bear. So I guess I've been watching some stuff, but nothing like that. Not yet, at least. Keith comes in and says, Nick, what's the biggest climb ahead for the Broncos? Congrats on your hiking adventures. Yeah, a week from tomorrow, I will be heading off to Vegas I won't be in Vegas for that long. I'll heading off to Vegas, then to Southern California for 6 days as a buddy and I and Carl coming with an attempt to climb Mount Whitney, the tallest mountain in the contiguous U.S. I pray to God it is not too hot. But what's the biggest climb ahead for the Broncos? I mean, there's multiple. So you guys know what a false summit is? It's like when you're climbing a mountain, you have an angle and you're like, okay, there's the summit right there. I'm going to be able to get there. And then you get to it and you see that you still have so much further to go. So it's a false summit. The false summit is probably winning record, getting back on track this season. You can have a false positive in 1 year sample size with that. I mean, that would be great. You're definitely getting up and getting a better view with that. But the real summit is figuring out if Bo Nix is the guy. And I guess actually beyond that, you have a mountain across the way that's even taller you might want to climb is beating the Chiefs and being better than the Chiefs. Not just in one game. Crazy crap happens in one game. But at the end of the year, the division standings being on top. So those are the biggest climbs, and it's a heck of a climb when you have Patrick Mahomes, who right now might be on pace to be one of the best 3 quarterbacks of all time. I mean, nobody's had a start to the career like he's had. I mean, there's nobody's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, and we might have that this season. Hopefully not, God, man. But we'll see. That's definitely a huge mountaintop for the Broncos to try to climb, and also just seeing what Bo Nix can be. We got Michael Ronquillo coming in, says, good morning, Keith. Yeah, good to see you guys exchanging cordialities. Being cordial. Good to see you. Brandon Williams says, good morning, Nick. Besides quarterback, what position battle are you most interested in? For me, I think the position battle I am most interested in, we're going to talk about cornerback today because Jeff Legwold wrote about it, and love Jeff. Met him at the Combine, God damn, time flies, 6-7 years ago now. And he was just so gracious with his time. I was probably 24 years old out of the Combine. Didn't really know very many people there. I'm like, oh my God, Jeff Legwold, he's a legend. And saw him a few times, talked with him. He was great. Him and Andrew Mason left good impressions, man. They're good guys. But Jeff talks a lot about cornerback too. We're going to get into that here in a bit. But for me, honestly, it's just the pass catchers. Forget wide receiver, tight end too. Who's going to step up? Because outside of Cortland Sutton, I mean, question mark. Tim Patrick, can he rebound? I mean, God, pulling for Tim Patrick, but when you've missed so much time and you've been injured so much, just anything can get his gravy. Marvin Mims, they've been talking him up a lot. We should have gotten Marvin Mims the ball more, but he played the same spot as Jerry Jeudy. Well, Judy's gone now. What does that mean for Mims? Josh Reynolds, a lot of Broncos fans excited about him. They didn't pay him a lot. They didn't pay him like a bona fide big time target or somebody who's going to be one of your top 3 pass catchers in an offense, but he can get out there. He's a physical player. He can be definitely a part of the system for sure. And then you also have, of course, the tight end position. Can Dulcich finally stay healthy and prove to be worth a 75th overall pick? That's a valuable pick, man. You need your top 100 picks to become contributors. And right now, Dulcich has been more time in the ice bath than on the field. So that's a big one. Looking forward to that. Troy Franklin, can he step up at wide receiver? Of course, he's another one. I knew there was another wide receiver I wanted to give a shout out to. Devon Vele was a big, exciting player that people were talking about in that rookie minicamp segment. So those are the guys I'm curious about. Lucas Kroll, also at tight end. That's another one I wanted to shout out. So it's really the pass catchers for me. I'm going to lump in. Michael Ronquillo says the wide receiver battle. I'm going to lump in tight end as well, just because I think they are – the way Sean Payton has built offenses, it hasn't necessarily been, through the wide receivers or anything like that. It's just your best guys. It's been tight ends. It's been wide receivers. It's been running backs. And right now, outside of Courtland Sutton, it's just nothing but question marks and potential for the Broncos at the pass catcher. Now, that means there's a lot of – it could be really bad. The air bars are wide, but also you could have multiple guys hit and be like, oh, man, there's always somebody who steps up, right? Why can't it be one of the Broncos guys? Why can't Vele end up being Puka Nacua? It's not likely, but it can happen, and we haven't seen that yet. So fingers crossed, right out there. We'll see. But getting to it here, we got Tim Durrell saying, good morning. What's good, Broncos country? Good to see you, Tim. Always appreciate you coming in and saying hello. And you guys drop the thumbs up on the way in if you think that I am, if I'm killing it. If not, just don't hurt my feelings. I'm fragile. I'm tired. I'm putting the little guy back to daycare today for the first time, and I'm back to work with my parental leave ending. I'll take the rest of it in December. I'm saving 13 days. But yeah, I'm fragile today, so be kind. But we appreciate you. And yeah, talking about the cornerback position, Jeff Legwold today, today writes an article saying that one of the Broncos' biggest roster decisions that does not involve quarterback will be who gets to line up opposite Pat Surtain. The CB2 job means seeing a lot of work. Opposing quarterbacks would much rather challenge that guy than Surtain, one of the league's top defensive backs, and whoever wins that gig has to be ready for that pressure. Big time, yeah. And then he quotes Vance Joseph saying, absolutely, obviously, Pat is one of the best corners in football. So if you're playing opposite Pat, you're going to get most of the targets. That's part of it. So having a guy who's resilient, who can work through adversity during games and kind of invite being attacked, it's kind of a good thing for a corner, also because you can make a lot of plays that way. So it will be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Broncos country is what's the word I'm looking for? Not unfamiliar with having a dominant cornerback and how that changes the complexity of your cornerback 2 spot. I mean, it was years and years and years for Broncos looking for a competent cornerback 2 opposite Champ Bailey. I remember as a middle schooler being infatuated with 6'5" Lenny Walls. I'm like, oh, he's got to be great. He's 6'5". There's a reason there's not a lot of 6'5" cornerbacks, folks. Dre Bly, they came in. Oh, I know Dre Bly. He was great with the Rams and the Lions. Not so good. Then you had Darren Williams for a little bit, and rest in peace. That was obviously a tragedy. But looking for the Broncos options opposite of Pat Surtain, and the first one, talking about the role here by Jeff Legwold, as he talks about the guy who lost it last season, Mathis. Mathis struggled a bit last year. He's an athletic player, but a little bit handsy, and going to a new scheme. He struggled a little bit last season. A 4th-round pick in 2022, started 13 games. We were excited about him a year ago, but the pass interferences, he struggled with that still, and just staying in phase. Guys were picking on him. So Mathis is a lot of people obviously frustrated with him last year, but he's got a chance to really step up this year. Still a young player, 2 years of cost control left, and he's got a chance, folks. Tim Durrell says, I want to see if Mathis steps up. It's a wide open camp battle right now, and Mathis is one of the 3 most likely guys to get it. even if he doesn't end up being, cornerback 2 opposite, there's still value because he is a good tackler. He's a versatile player. He played cover 4 at Pitt, so maybe there's even some safety ability there as well with how he plays defense. But Mathis has a chance, so we'll see what happens. Brandon Williams says, I follow Andrew Mason a lot on social media. I think he does really good work as well. Yeah, Andrew Mason's a good guy, for sure. Dominic, morning, Nick, and my Broncos family. Want to see Riley Moss opposite PS2, and that's the next guy wanted to talk about here. Moss, the Broncos traded up for Moss. They gave up an early 4th-round pick and a future 3rd to move to the middle of the 3rd round to get Moss, and that's a significant trade. Moss played cornerback in Iowa's very zone off coverage heavy defense, and he had his junior season just an unbelievable amount of interceptions, pick sixes, interceptions. Cooper DeJean was the better cornerback for that defensive backfield, but Moss had himself a really good time, and he went through the gauntlet at Iowa. He started as a true freshman against Purdue and got picked on, but he was resilient, came back, and ended up having a really good career out there at Iowa. Now at Iowa, because of how they play defense, it's really hard to evaluate the cornerbacks because, again, there's not a lot of press man. It's a lot of conservative zone, keeping guys in front of you. And you can't really get away with that as much in the NFL. The wide receivers are too good. Quarterbacks are too good. They'll pick on you. They'll take what you give, which in the Big Ten West, quarterbacks, not as much. So Moss is up there as well. And I think ideally for the Broncos, he's the guy that you have taking that cornerback 2 spot. And give me 1 second. I'm going to cough because I'm still getting over this cold. Oh my God. Was I muted? Hello? Can you hear me? Hopefully I wasn't muted. Let me give 1 second. All right. Well, give me a thumbs up in the chat if I'm back or I wasn't muted there for 10 minutes talking. The chat would have let me know, right, guys? But Moss would be great for the Broncos. Of course, he has a lot of ball skills. You talk about somebody being, as Vance Joseph mentioned, inviting pressure and getting attacked and making plays on the ball because it's coming your way. Moss has a chance to be that guy. So he is somebody that we're looking forward to here. Again, traded up a lot for him. He's a good athlete, 6 foot, 193 pounds, 4'4", 40, small arms. I know that Sean Payton mentioned he had long arms. He's got a big frame, but his arms are pretty short for the cornerback spot. But that's for a round 3 corner. He's not going to probably be an all-pro or anything like that, but he can be really good at that spot. And again, the takeaways, that is so important. I wasn't muted. Well, great. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. I looked down and my button was flashing. Maybe I clicked it right before. I'm still kind of in autopilot, so good to know. But the takeaways for me, that's the big kicker here with Moss. If Moss can do what he did at Iowa and take the ball away at just an unbelievable pace, I'll live a little bit with the, some of the plays down the field. I'll live a little bit with, some conservative plays in front of him, letting the guy catch the ball. I'm not expecting him to be another PS2 out there. But if you can play opposite PS2, the ball's coming your way. Maybe be a little bit more aggressive. Take that ball away. Turnovers are so important. Outside of points, I would argue that turnovers are the second most important stat in football as far as indicating who wins and loses a football game. And Moss showed he had a knack for taking the ball away. So I'm really pulling for Moss. It's not just because I'm wearing my Iowa stuff here, the Iowa helmet behind me, but you made a big investment in him. You have 3 years of control left, and obviously the Broncos liked him. Moss's other roles besides cornerback 2, of course, is he's a heck of a gunner, so he's going to have special teams value. There's some discussion of him potentially moving to safety as well down the line if it doesn't work out at boundary cornerback from what my understanding is. So there's some versatility there for him to make an impact on this team. But Moss and Mathis, your 2 relatively highly drafted assets on this team with still 2 and 3 years of cost control. Those are the ones that I think the Broncos would like to take the spot. Now we'll see if they earn it. You can like a lot of things. Doesn't mean it happens. But those are the 2 that hopefully in camp and everything we'll see them step forward. Gary Palmer, 1999. Thank you, Gary, for the support. Really, really nice of you. Hope you're doing well. It says, good morning, Nick and Broncos country. I hope the offense is gelled. Has anything come out of that camp? Go Broncos. I haven't heard anything just yet, but that's we'll see soon. Rookies are going to report Wednesday. The ball's going to be rolling here soon. It's going to be preseason before you know it. So we'll hear some stuff soon. Hopefully all good news. Hopefully not a lot of injuries. It's always going to be a little bit fluffed up this time of year, unless it's like an abject disaster, because media covering a team don't want fans to be discouraged and tune out, right? So, and also it's just how close you are to the situation. Unless you've been, watching the Chiefs or the Belichick Patriots operate, and then you come over here and it's like, oh my God, this is not the same. But we'll see. Hopefully good things come out of there, and hopefully no injuries. That is the big one. We got Dominique Martin, says Denver MHH for life. Go Broncos. Morning, Nick and my Broncos family. Want to see Moss opposite PS2. Yeah, hopefully that's the one. We'll see what happens. And he said that would be good if he does, but I'm personally rooting for Moss. Hopefully it is Moss or Mathis. I'd be happy with either. Dan Wilkett says Tim Patrick's going to ball this year and Josh Reynolds will be smooth. Tim Patrick will beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Book it. That'd be awesome. Take a screenshot of that. If that does happen, that'd be great. That'd be really, really awesome to see. Finally take that Raiders monkey off our back. Robot of Doom says, good morning, Nick. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you, Robot of Doom. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, Tim makes a good point. Says you need pass rush to get INTs. You need pass rush or you need a lead. And both of those have been hard to come by for the Broncos for a lot of parts. But you can still Denver had an unbelievable turnover stretch last season. Now, granted, a lot of it was predicated on fumbles, which are a lot more finical. Is that the word? I can't. Man, my brain is not working. They're a lot harder to predict, fickle than interceptions. But did I say finical? Man, what is wrong with me? Another coffee sip for that one, man. I'm better than that. Finical. What's Finkel is Ihorn, right? All right. But turnovers, Moss took the ball away a lot at Iowa. It would be great if he could end up being the guy. If it's not Mathis or Moss, if injuries happen or Mathis is still struggling to stay in phase down the field, creating penalties, Moss has more injury issues or just isn't really playing up to what they want, then it's probably going to be Levi Wallace. Broncos brought in the 29-year-old Wallace, signed for the same reasons as the team brought in Fabian Moreau last season. He's played 83 games, 70 starts. So a lot of experience, granted at 29 years old. Maybe is the way to say it. You're really close to the falling off completely at the cornerback spot at 29 for a lot of guys, especially when they aren't, superstar athlete types, which, he's a cornerback in the NFL. He's a superstar human athlete, but not special compared to his peers. So he's one that if Mathis and Moss fail, you want to watch out for that. But he's a safety valve. You didn't pay him a lot. It's a 1-year contract. So if Moss and Mathis cannot step up, we're definitely thinking that it'll be Levi Wallace. The dark horse is, of course, you have the cornerback you just drafted, who is, I had the name pulled up here. It's in the chat, folks. God, my brain, I am just having a hard time today. Kris Abrams-Draine. He's the one that is a dark horse for the position, of course. 5th-round pick. He was the lesser thought of cornerback out of the two out of Mizzou this last season, and Enos Rakestraw, and of course Abrams-Draine as well. But he had an unbelievable amount of ball production at Missouri in the SEC. They had a really good underrated defense out there in Columbus this last year. So he's a real dark horse. He'll have a chance if Mathis and Moss can't step up. I mean, it'd be much better, obviously, if Nick's brain is dead. Nick's brain is dead. Thank you. Nick's brain's been dead. But he is one that we're going to watch for him as well, of course. And he might come out of nowhere. 5th-round pick, again, cornerback spot. Typically, it's your top 100 picks at that spot, unless they're the nickel corner because it's a different skill set. But Kris Abrams-Draine really does have a chance to be a guy who can step up. The ball skills, again, the takeaways, the pass deflections. I think he can do a little bit better job at locating the football and finishing the reps there, but he gets his hands on the football a lot. So that is something that we'll watch out for there. But for me, if I was a betting man right now, until I see Moss or Mathis step up, I think I have to go with the old vet in Levi Wallace. And there's a safety in that too early on in the season. If you are playing good football and Levi Wallace is the guy out there, then, it's a 1-year contract, but that doesn't really matter. But if the season kind of goes down the drain, a lot of younger guys need reps to evaluate what you have, then it's easy to move off of Levi Wallace and go with a Riley Moss, to go with a Mathis, just to get some reps in there and to evaluate. So that's the worst case scenario. There's still going to be a chance for some of those young guys to get a chance. So I'm hoping it's going to be Moss or Mathis. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. We got String Guy coming in, says good morning. Ernie Mays, go Broncos country only. Go Ernie. Always great to see you. Yeah, I said drained. Yep, it's definitely drained and dead. Too much happy juice last night, Nick. I did not have. I didn't have anything. I think it's just getting over vacation and getting everything going on. But also, Scott texted me like right before the show that he couldn't make it. So I'm a little bit. Was not mentally prepped for the solo show. But hey, we're here. We're doing it. We're live. We're great. But you guys, let me know in the chat. What do you think? Is it going to be Riley Moss? Is it going to be Damari Mathis? If I was a betting man right now, if I had to set odds for the cornerback spot, I would probably have our guy, Levi Wallace, number one, the most likely to win that spot, followed by Moss, then after that, then Damari Mathis, and then Kris Abrams-Draine. So those are the ones. Maybe we'll see undrafted free agent Art Green. I know he's a heck of an athlete. Maybe Tremont Smith. I mean, he's still out here battling for a spot, a little easier to move on from. But those are the ones I'm interested in to see as well. And just talking about the Broncos cornerback spot, I did want to touch on one more thing from Jeff Legwold's article, saying that talking about the Broncos, potentially one of their bigger under-the-radar additions. Defensive back coach, longtime defensive coordinator for the Wisconsin Badgers, Jim Leonhard, replaced Christian Parker, the Broncos defensive back coach, and also carries the duties of the defensive passing game coordinator. Played for the Broncos in 2012. I remember playing Madden with him, punt returned a few times, and spent the last 8 years as a college assistant coach. From Joseph, he says, Leonhard is a great teacher of the position, and that's important. We have young players who have to get better at fundamentals and technique and having a higher IQ as far as schematics, so he's a perfect fit. Leonhard will team up with Joseph to try to improve this Denver defense that allowed 66.8 completion percentage, 27th in the NFL, and 7.5 yards per attempt last season, which was 26th in the NFL. Leonhard said need versatility, whether it's flexibility to corners, safeties, being able to play outside, inside. You can't hide guys anymore. You have to be able to communicate and think. If you can't play inside the numbers, they just put their best receiver in there and work those matchups. But talent wins in the league. Obviously, we feel like we have one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL in Surtain. So hopefully he's right. And that's a good point from Leonhard, too. I think the lines have kind of blurred a bit on a lot of those defensive positions in matching how offenses are playing. So if you have one weakness, teams are going to move their best guy in there and take advantage of it. So will be really interesting. And it's kind of fun to see in here. We have Ernie Mays coming in saying Mathis, Keith Brugman saying his money's on Mathis. I think he took the fall for the woes early last season, didn't have that opportunity back. Look for him to ball out. That would be great. And Jeremy's saying Moss as well. I think we had another Moss in here too. So I think ideally it is Moss, but I'm going to bet the safe option, which is Levi Wallace right now. And as String Guy says here, I just want camp and preseason to start right around the corner. String Guy, right around the corner. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up because we got a bunch of stuff to do before getting this little guy off to daycare for the first time. Appreciate you guys so much for joining us today on the quick show, solo show with me. Shout out to everybody hanging out with me today. Keith Brugman, Tim Durr, Ernie Mays, Jeremy Sean, you killing it, of course. We got, I think I said Keith Brugman, of course, Mark Schrader, Gary Palmer with the support. How could I forget Michael Ronquillo, Robot of Doom? Always great to see as well. Brandon Williams, thank you guys so much. I hope Robbie Red out there on Vashon Island. David Youngkin, hope you guys are doing well. We really, really appreciate everybody coming in. Sorry for the short show again, but running solo, running on fumes, and really do appreciate everyone coming in. You guys have a great rest of your week. I know, again, everything's kind of just so toxic right now, but know that real life is not the internet. Real life is not the political discourse going on, and it is a little bit of a point of privilege where you can, tune some of it out. But also, I think it's important for your mental health that you shouldn't just have it in front of you constantly also. So get outside, touch grass, call your mother, plan something, cook a good meal. It's something else. Don't be consumed by the machine. Appreciate everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Continue to choose kindness, compassion always. And, of course, go Broncos.